Welcome to the design guide for the Size Adjustable Expander and Size Adjustable Expander with Video HTML templates. We're going to start by previewing this ad unit, and as you'll notice here we have two containers, a collapsed container as well as an expanded container. Now the important thing to note is that you can set these containers to be any size you like. So while this happens to be a 300 by 250 that expands out into about 700 by 300, you could resize this expanded image to be any size you want, as well as the collapsed image. So this could be a 160 by 600, it could be a 728 by 90, and then you can adjust the expanded container to fit that. So it really is designed to be a unit that fits into any existing ad positions, and then you dictate how big it's going to expand into the expanded container. So to demonstrate that, we're going to go ahead and just quickly come into our gallery and grab a 728 by 90 image for the collapsed area. And what we would do then is come down to our settings, to the very first setting, collapsed width and height, and change it. Instead of 300 by 250, we're going to change this to 728 by 90. And now when we preview the ad, we're going to see our 728 by 90 that expands down. And the reason this only expands directly down is because we've set the width of the expanded container to be 728 as well. So it doesn't get a left or right direction, it just goes up and down. So we'll go ahead and switch this back to 300 by 250. Reset our image here to be a 300 by 250. And the other thing you can do on this ad is dictate the direction it expands. So while initially by default it's going to expand to the right, you can also make this expand down and to the left simply by coming here to your settings, scrolling all the way to the bottom, and you'll see the very last setting is add expand direction. We can change it from down and to the right to down and to the left. And now when we preview the ad, it's actually expanding to the left instead of to the right. Now there is a little bit of a glitchiness here where the left expander is going to expand off screen. Therefore, when you're designing a left expander, what we suggest is keeping the setting here down and to the right so that you can see where your open and close button is, where all of the imagery is, and the last thing you'll do before you actually deploy the ad is switch the final setting to down and to the left, which will make it expand to the left. But keeping it at the right is going to allow you to preview and do all of your editing in the most efficient manner. So moving down, we've got our collapsed container media and expanded container media. Both of these can either be JPEGs, PNGs, GIFs, or SWF files. In the instance that you're using an SWF file in either or both of these containers, that SWF file is only going to render on desktop browsers. If you try to run it on an iPad or iPhone or a non-flash compatible device, it's not going to show up. So what you're going to want to do is scroll down here and use the optional collapsed container failover or optional expanded container failover image. You're just going to upload a static image in either or both of these if you've used an SWF file here. And in that instance it'll fail over to that image if the browser is not flash compatible. If you've just used images in both of these containers, you don't need to worry about these failovers, you just leave those blank. So underneath here you've got your open and close buttons. We have a default 100 by 30 open and close button in here. You're welcome to use those, or you can upload your own images. They can be 100 by 30 or any size you like. And then finally at the bottom you've got your optional video clip. Just needs to be an MP4 file. And when you're uploading MP4s, we've found that the easiest converter we've seen out there if you're converting your files is called video.online-convert.com. Very simple site, and you can navigate to the MP4 or you can just grab this whole URL string, convert-to-mp4, and it's going to take you to a page where you simply browse your hard drive for the file you want in whatever format you want. You can generally leave all of these settings blank. The only one you might want to look at is the bit rate. If you want to reduce the file size, you could basically put it at 800 or lower. And then finally click convert file, and it's going to give you an MP4 that is compatible with our system, and you shouldn't have any issues there. Next up is your colors. You've got a background color and a custom hit area test mode color. Click-through URLs, you always are going to have 4 options. You can put 1, 2, 3, or 4 different hit areas on this ad for click-throughs, and you'd add in your URLs here. And now finally, our custom settings. So at the top, we've got your collapsed width and height of your collapsed container, and the height and width of your expanded container. You're going to set that here and upload images that correspond to the sizes you've put in here. As always, you've got auto expand on initial render, yes or no. If yes, it's going to drop a cookie and wait however many hours you put in here. If you want to not have that auto expand every single time someone comes to the page. Underneath there, we've got a delay. Do you want a delay on that auto expand? If yes, how many seconds? Would you like it to then auto collapse after it auto expands? If yes, put in how many seconds you'd like that to take. You can have it auto expand on mouse over instead of clicking open, or auto collapse on mouse off instead of clicking close. You've got expand speed and collapse speed. And next you've got default location for your open and close button. So by default, when we preview this ad, these open and close buttons are going to be in the upper right hand corner, no matter what size you've made these expanded and collapsed containers. If you want to customize that, you say, no, I don't want to use the default location. The next 2 settings are for your open and close button height and width. Right now it's 100 by 30, but if you wanted to make it 50 by 50 or any size you want, you just type that in here and then upload your corresponding open and close buttons in whatever size that you've dictated to the settings area down here. And now for our open and close buttons, since we're not using the defaults, it's going to give us a custom. If we wanted to, for instance, make these on the left hand side of the ad, we could say open button horizontal offset 0 and vertical offset 0. That's going to put it in the upper left hand corner. And the close button, we'll say 0 pixels to the right and 260 pixels down. So what that's going to do now is adjust our open and close buttons now to be top left and bottom left hand side. But you can adjust that custom XY offset to be anywhere you like. Next up is your video player. If you want to include that, simply say yes, I want to use a video. And again, you're going to come back here and make sure you've uploaded a MP4 file, which we have already in this instance, and we've selected it. And then it's going to ask us how big we want the video player. Right now we have this set to 300 by 250. It can be any size you want up to the full height and width of your expanded container. And then it's going to give you a horizontal and vertical offset. Right now we have this 100 pixels to the right and 10 pixels down from the top. And you can set the video to either auto start as well as the audio to auto start. So when we preview now, inside our expanded container, we've got a video that's auto playing. Again, you can set this video player to be any height and width you like, and anywhere all the way up to full screen on the expanded container. So we will go ahead and turn off the video player for now. And finally, we've got our custom hit areas. So you're almost always going to have at least one custom hit area. So we're going to activate custom hit area 1, type in yes. Typically you're going to want to make this the same height and width as your expanded container, in this instance 728 by 300. That means if I click anywhere on the expanded or collapsed box, it's going to take me to whatever I have for click-through URL 1. I have a 0, 0 offset because this is the full height and width of the container. We don't need an offset. But if we wanted to add a second custom hit area, we'd do it here. You can again dictate if this is 300 by 200, it can be any size you want. And in this instance, we have an offset of 100 pixels to the right and 10 pixels down. And we could do the same thing with custom hit area 3, height, width, and offset, and custom hit area 4, height, width, and offset. Finally, at the bottom, you can turn on testing mode. That's going to highlight your hit areas in whatever color you've set here. You know, if you have green imagery in there like we do, you probably want to switch it to red or something like that. But the one thing to note in terms of hit areas is for stacking. Basically, hit area 1's at the bottom, and then hit area 2 is on top of that, so it's going to take precedence if you click on that hit area. Hit area 3 is on top of that stack, and hit area 4 is at the very top. If you're using video, video lives in between hit area 1 and 2. And that's important because if we turn on our video again here, and you wanted to basically have a hit area so that if I click anywhere behind the video, I'm going to go to hit area 1. Hit area, the video is stacked on top of hit area 1, but click-through 2 is stacked on top of the video. So typically you'll use click-through 2 on this video, and you would make it just about the full height and width. You'd probably leave this area blank so that I could still click on and interact with the video settings. But hit area 2 would be, approximately 300 pixels wide by, call it, 220 tall to fit on top of this. And then you'd give it the exact same, 100 pixels to the right, 10 pixels down offset. So that's it for the design guide. As always, if you have questions, call us at 866-467-2289. Thank you.